and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Prime Minister Netanyahu made a trip south yesterday for the renaming of the Dimona nuclear reactor in honor of late Israeli leader Shimon Peres. But Netanyahu took the opportunity to make a very symbolic threat to Israel's enemies, too. While standing in front of the site where most believe Israel is stockpiling nuclear weapons, the Prime Minister said that anyone hoping to eradicate the Jewish state would only face eradication themselves. Considering where Netanyahu made this edict, these words are backed with a bit of veiled truth. For many years now, Israel has maintained a vague policy on neither confirming nor denying its nuclear capabilities. But it's widely believed that the country has stockpiled dozens, if not hundreds, of nuclear warheads. If true, this obviously gives Israel a serious defensive backbone. But the Israeli government has also received flack for hiding this project from the world and refusing to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Some have pointed out a contradiction in the fact that Israel continues to rally against the JCPOA nuclear deal with Iran while maintaining an undisclosed nuclear arsenal themselves. But Israeli leaders would likely argue that its military only acts in self-defense. Iran's current leaders, on the other hand, continue to demand the destruction of the State of Israel. The regime's research into nuclear development in the 2000s, as well as its funding of terror cells surrounding the Jewish state, are ample evidence of this objective, and the IDF has conducted repeated attacks abroad in order to keep this effort at bay. Following a relative calm along the Gaza border, talks between Israel, Hamas, and Egypt on a potential long-term ceasefire still remain in limbo. Hamas leaders are claiming that while negotiations are indeed still underway, the terror cell would launch a cascade of rockets if and when those discussions fall apart, an act that would most likely spiral the region into a new all-out war. The fate and very nature of these ceasefire talks has put regional allies and rivals at odds like never before. First and foremost is the fact that Hamas stands to gain a lot of credibility and authority if it indeed lands a ceasefire deal with Israel. An emboldened Hamas would potentially stand to steal a lot of influence from Palestinian Authority President Abbas's Fatah party in the West Bank. Needless to say, this is not exactly a favorable outcome for Israel nor the United States. But following rumors that the Trump administration is set to halt all funding to UNRWA, the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency, this too would potentially give Hamas a major boost in the Palestinian world. Abbas, meanwhile, has begun to reinvigorate himself on the global stage amidst the sense that his power may soon be shifting to Hamas. The sense is that Abbas is actively trying to thwart the Gaza ceasefire deal in an effort to maintain control. This places both the United States and Israel at a somewhat complicated crossroads, though. On one hand, the White House has firmly backed Egyptian efforts to de-escalate violence against Israel on the Gaza front with Hamas. On the other hand, American Ambassador David Friedman has urged Jewish leaders that such a deal could be catastrophic if it means cutting out the PA in favor of Hamas. Needless to say, these contradictory statements from the Trump administration are signals of a somewhat confused White House with respect to its Middle East policy and protocol. Israeli leaders also warned that recent U.S. policy shifts may indeed be playing directly into Hamas's hands. 6 months ago, many believed that the terror group was on its last limbs on the precipice of collapse. But half a year later, signs are indicating that Hamas may soon be on its way to becoming the new leadership face of the Palestinians. Israeli-American tattoo artist Oren Shlomo Mayer, aka Oz Diamond, is still at large in the Philippines, reports say, after fleeing from Taiwan on suspicion of a grisly murder. He and his friend, Ewert Odani Bent, are accused of murdering and dismembering Canadian citizen Ramgahan Sanjay Ryan over an apparent drug dispute. Mayer, who ran a local Taiwanese tattoo shop and apparently taught English for children ages 2 to 12, was also allegedly the biggest cannabis dealer in northern Taiwan. As Mayer's business expanded, he invited his friend and former United States Marine, Ewert Odani Bent, to come and help him. Bent and the victim, Ryan, also taught English together, as well as sold drugs out of a Taiwan nightclub. But as authorities began closing in on the operation, a disagreement with Ryan apparently occurred, and Bent and Mayer plotted to kill him. Knowing the route that Ryan regularly walked his dog on, Mayer and Bent waited for him, then surprised him, tied him with a chain, and hacked him to pieces with machetes and a wire saw before throwing his remains in the Zhenden River. Ryan's dog allegedly led friends to some of Ryan's remains the next day. After the murder, security footage shows Mayer and Bent enjoying a beer and celebrating. But then, fearing their capture, Mayer fled the country to the neighboring Philippines, and Bent stayed. Bent was indeed later arrested using Ryan's phone records, but Mayer is still on the run. The Philippines and Taiwan have an extradition treaty, and Philippine police allegedly zeroed in on Mayer's hotel sometime in the last few nights, but Maher still eluded capture, and he's assumed at large. Bent has denied the charges against him. In other news, former wheelchair basketball player and disabled IDF veteran Akiva Katz was killed yesterday at around 9 a.m. in a car accident in Tel Aviv. The 69-year-old Katz was hit by a Hummer SUV while crossing the street. Katz was injured in the spine during his army service and was a basketball player in the Beit HaLochem for the rehabilitation of Israel's wounded veterans. He also played in the Israel national team, according to the Beit HaLochem Tel Aviv's basketball coordinator Ariel Otelengi. Oded Gal, a Magen David Adom paramedic, said, quote, "I was on my way to the station when I received a report about an accident in a street nearby. Parts of the wheelchair that was completely broken were scattered on the road. A man was lying on the road near the vehicle. He was unconscious and in critical condition. Assisted by the MDA's mobile intensive care unit, we gave him advanced medical treatment and evacuated him to the nearest hospital." End quote. Katz was pronounced dead at the Soraski Medical Center after being admitted in critical condition, and police are investigating the incident. A funeral date has not yet been set, and as for the driver of the SUV, the driver's license has been revoked for 90 days, and the Hummer seized until the end of the investigation. The driver was released after questioning, but remains under restrictions. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.